Alright you guys, got a 15 plus 10 unrated game against synergy516, who has the white pieces and has started with this bizarre Mises opening, so I'm just going to play d5, which is what I play whenever I don't recognise what's going on. You get fewer sexy gambits as black, obviously. Okay. The old Indian attack. Well, I can go Indian too. We'll go Indian. I'm trying to study what I'm going to play. It hasn't gone well. I've dropped from 1200, now 1105. You will bounce back. Look at me. Okay, so we'll go down this route. This is usually pretty safe. Fianchetto King's Bishop, Castle Kingside, get the knight out to f6. You could even play f5 if you wanted to, go down a kind of Leningrad Dutch. Try and get more control over this square here. A bit more aggressive, but it's like a delayed Dutch. Nothing wrong with that at all. But you need to do, obviously, that before you put your knight on f6. A second move of the queen's pawn. But I can see what you're doing is building a pawn chain, but that's okay, you know. That's the thing with bishops. Very often you just plant a bishop and leave it till later, because these things can all change later on. You know, so right now it hampers this bishop. He can't go there. But that's not the point of this bishop. The point of this bishop is to guard these squares for now, and then at some point in the future, if these pawns should move, then comes into its own. Okay. Queen c2. This bishop's still hampered, so he's not going to castle in the next two moves. Not queenside anyway, or kingside. This is the problem with these pawn moves, eh? The c pawn and the f pawn do not help a bishop to develop. Okay, so what are we thinking? Where are we? We are still in the opening phase. We've castled, we've developed two minor pieces, we've still got two minor pieces and the queen to move. So now I'm looking at bishop and knight. Bishop has a useful square here, could also come here. This knight's moved sideways, which then acts as a substitute for this knight. So let's put our bishop there and harass the queen. Now my opponent has to respond to something. So at this point in the game, your focus is to develop pieces, control the board. So now if you look at squares in my opponent's half that I'm controlling, not a huge number, like 5 is it? Because the knight and the bishop are looking at some of the same 6. Arguably 7. My queen isn't controlling any. So I've got quite a closed kind of reserved position. In my half, my opponent is controlling only 3 by the look of it. So that's what we call a space advantage. I have control over some of the territory in my opponent's half of the board. I have more control over theirs than they do of me. Slightly unusual queen move here. I think I would have liked him to focus more on, you know, central pawns, maybe develop the bishops, get the king safe, but... Okay, so the queen's moved here. Excuse the sniffles, I'm just fighting off a slight cold. b6 looks pretty obvious. There's not many other ways. I mean, I can put my queen on c8, but then I'm using a piece, and a high value piece at that, to defend a pawn. So I'd rather put the pawn in a place where it's defended by its neighbours. Okay, looks now like white is also planning to Fianchetto Figaro. That's tempting. This is also quite a tempting move. Knight e4, just in general. Then let's say knight takes, bishop takes, got control down here. Also potentially opens up the f-file slightly. The question is, do I want to do something with my knight, or do I want to push forward in the centre now? What's the right thing to do? Where will my knight go? Here or here? Not very powerful considering these dark square pawns over there, but this is also an idea. Put my rook on e8 and then bring the knight round, maybe here, I don't know. Or just knight there, just sit tight. Okay, he's done that. So now he's got two attackers on this pawn, if the knight moves, and I have two defenders, so we're okay. This is a very common idea, but first I need to move my knight. So I'm going to put my knight here and then look at e5. It's very typical in King's Indian or Dutch, Peertz approaches. Just kind of what we're playing, a bit of all of them. Not Dutch, because we never played f5, so it's not a Dutch. But to be able to get e5 in, so e5, pawn takes, I can take with a knight. If he wants to take, I take with a rook. And this uncastled king is looking maybe slightly vulnerable. I like the fact that I've got control over this diagonal here. So I've got a quiet bishop there, like a Manchurian candidate. Okay, is it time? Or this. So candidate moves are e5 and knight to e4. Oh, yeah. Let's play e5 now. Big difference in my play, you know, when I move this piece and then hover for that extra second and a half, just for that bonus scan of the board, it's a sign that I'm playing better. And I'm definitely playing better. So I bounced all the way back to 1575 from 1340 in about a week. Now it's time to knock on 600 and see if I can't break through 1600. My co-tutor Christina is also above 1550 as well, which is fantastic. And I have to confess, some inspiration for me to push ahead. So, Synergy, what are you going to do? You've still got the minor piece stuck on the back rank. This knight can't proceed very far. So this knight, all it's really doing is acting as a understudy for this knight, really. But if I get in e4, then neither of them is going to stay on there. And that allows me to get on e4. I think I have to just push that, yeah? That's it, evict that knight. Now, big question. Do I want to allow white to capture this bishop? Answer is no. Because the only way to recapture it would be the g-pawn, and we do not want that. Alrighty. My bishops are now kind of looking this way. But hey, you never know, there may be action on either side of the board. We've got discovered attack against the knight, which is defended by the pawn. I've also got some bishop activity there though as well. So maybe it's time to get my queen behind my bishop. It says, I do okay in the open, it's the middle and end, yeah. So, Synergy, one problem is obviously this bishop. You know, you blocked it in early on. We'll keep an eye on the prospects of that bishop. Just saying, I'm recording, so there will be hints. So my thought right now is I want to take advantage of these light squares, I think. Question is how? I've got h5 maybe. Think about bringing my knight round. or my knight could go straight in there. Would that help? You see, I've got my knight as well on d7, like you've got your knight on d2, but the difference is I've got my bishop out. This bishop came out first, yeah, before I put my knight out. We'll see if it makes a difference, eh? Okay, so knight here. This pawn is actually only defended by the king. Then I've got maybe f5 as well. I like that idea. Knight here, I don't really see much value. The other option is bringing this guy around. Maybe push there. He comes here, he comes here. Yeah, let's try that. I'll just start that process. Bring the knight around. Maybe h5 first. h5 to clear the h7 square, really. So I had a bit of zinc and magnesium. Had my vitamin B1. Replenishing my brain. Yeah, I don't think we've had this conversation. But yeah, I figured out that my big mental slump was due to doing a 3-day fast, but drinking wine on my 3-day fast. And, if he hasn't got that or that, he's likely to want to come here or here, probably here. I might just shut the door on that idea. Yeah, so vitamin B1 depleted. Okay, now what he's doing is he's now retreating minor pieces. But I have a concern. Okay, so maybe he just wants to put his knight back here and keep it here, yeah? I'm going to play this move anyway. I'm just going to start closing in. When I get a knight in there, if he trades, I recapture the pawn. Really start to get control of that g2 square. So it becomes, yeah, if you notice, if you watch stronger... Oh, he's moved his knight again. What you doing? 2 attackers on here now. It's currently defended 3 times, so I don't need the bishop. If he wants to swap off, I don't mind. Okay, continue, this is the plan. Because, right, nothing has come off this board right now, yeah? And what that means is that it is not yet a bishopy board. It might become a bishopy board later on. You know, this guy's he's moved once, he's going to sit there with his eyes shut in silent contemplation until later on in the game where he'll probably come into life. Yeah? This guy right now is pretty much hampered. We've got these locked pawns in the middle of the board, right? That means that no bishop gets through here. No bishop, right? At all. Knights find it very difficult, but knights can move around as well, you know. And knights get to jump into these little holes and spaces, you see. A knight in there would be really annoying, you know. But he's never going to get his bishop in there. Look, it would take him all day. Right, now he's looking at a double attack on my bishop. So I have the option here to trade off the bishops, which I kind of like. Because, look at my king, and look at the pieces and the pawns around my king, right? Relatively solid. He's got a rook there, his wife is nearby, right? If you look at white's position, the king's starting to look a bit naked, so I'm going to eliminate that bishop. Knight comes back and takes, yeah? And now, I could push up here and offend the knight. What about that? This knight now only has 1 square it can visit. And if I do this, or even if I do this, now it has to be a pawn really, doesn't it? Do I want to move Gary? Let's just nudge the queen up onto the light squares, because this is my route in, right? I'm not going to be attacking on the dark squares. Look at my... Excuse me, look at my opponent as well. 7 pawns on dark squares. Dark square bishop, log jammed. Right, so what's he going to do? He's got knight here, right? He plays knight there. Oh. Alrighty then. Okay, what are we thinking? What are we thinking? I've got two knights that are kind of paused, ready to come into the action. I could play queen here. I could play my knight up there then. Oh yeah. Oh, I quite like queen up there. I think it sets out my stall. You know, it's kind of aggressive. Queen's not defended for the defensive, not required for the defense of that. Okay. Can you see this kind of feels like a kind of indecision going on from White's point of view? I think what we'll do at the end of this, we'll go through again and review the game from White's perspective, right? Now it's very tempting here to push h4. This pawn is pinned and can't take. Then I can put a knight here. I'm going to push h4. I'm threatening to capture as well. This knight's actually doing a reasonable job of defending this square right now. But I think this knight coming to g5, I don't know, it doesn't feel like I've got a super attack quite yet. And obviously my bishop is still redundant. I can't lift a rook easily because of this pawn here. My knight and my pawn are in the way on the 6th rank, so other ideas could be somehow shift the bishop, get the king to g7 and sneak round the corner with the rooks. So always be thinking about attacking ideas. If I was going to win this game, the next 10 or so moves, what would it be? Okay, now he's pivoted his knight round. So what's changed with that move? Is there a checkmate threat here? Check this out, right? h3, I believe, if knight takes, that's mate. If knight doesn't take, king has to retreat. I'm doing it. This knight can't take, because that's mate. Oh no, it isn't. King can go back to g1. Alright, okay. Huh. Says this is how people always get me every time. Well, we'll look at that. We'll try and figure out why that is. I think this knight has to come in now, eh? And the point here, the reason why you are now facing a big attack is that your opponent has the initiative. And we'll look at the initiative, we'll rewind the game, we'll look at the initiative. Okay, knight, that's now defended twice. I'm threatening knight in here, knight takes, queen comes in, there's mate. Knight doesn't take, I take, king recaptures, queen there, mate. It's looking unpleasant now. It's looking unpleasant. Yeah. This is a training game video. I feel like white in this game hasn't really threatened to come into my position. This is the most advanced piece right now. Now, one of the key things is knowing when to move forward into your opponent's position, when to attack. And somehow it feels like I've been able to take that initiative, but why? Is it lack of development? Is it moving developed pieces multiple times? Is it an unwillingness to move forward on the board? I mean, all other things being equal, in general, you want to move forwards, right? You want to move forwards, you want to reduce the number of squares that's available to your opponent. He says, I burn my clock all the time. Okay, this is interesting now, proposing a trade of queens. Okay, now if I go here, knight takes, I've got pawn takes then, maybe. I go there, knight takes, queen can't take, right? So, knight takes knight. If queen takes, he's just going to swap off because that's the only way. This is desperate. It's the only way he can prevent mate, yeah? Because if queen gets in there, he's buggered. Okay, but how about this? There, knight takes, pawn takes, and we've now opened up the e-file a bit. But I've got a pawn on here, but then he's got a pretty indestructible structure. Unless my other knight can do something. If I allow his queen to take and my knight takes, I'm looking at that. I'm happier about that. Yeah. Alrighty. So I'm thinking, I'm just going to move my bishop. I want to put my king here with ideas of using the h-file with my rooks. That's all. If he takes, I recapture and target this pawn. King can't defend it. Rook could. Apologies for the sniffles constantly, guys. Says I don't know what to do. Yeah, well, knowing what to do. So basically, in the middle game, let's flip the board. In the middle game, what you want to be doing is obviously avoiding tactical threats, being able to spot tactical opportunities, and but apart from that, improving your pieces. Now, having all your pieces on the back rank is not the definition of improvement. That's a problem. This is what I mean. What I immediately see when I see the board from White's perspective, he's got a kind of a London system set up here, but his dark squared bishop is trapped inside the pyramid, like a mummy, right? The rooks aren't connected. He's just not completed development, I don't think, even at any point of the game. Okay, so like he's playing an odd way around London, but where you can put your knight there, particularly if you've put your this pawn on c3, but he okay, so I mean this is one issue, but we'll go back to this. Let's see if we can finish off the game, eh? Right, now he's moved his bishop here, so he's developed something. Okay, I'm going to put my king there. Part of this is kind of gamesmanship as well. It's making your opponent think that you've got something evil planned. But I am thinking, this is genuine. I'm thinking about improving my pieces, right? This guy and this guy, they're big hitters, okay? And yeah, only 2 bishops have come off the board, but we've got a bit of a hotspot here. We've got a bit of a focal area, potentially for attacks. And I can always throw my knight in here, trade off, maybe put the pawn there, whatever. And that's going to free up this bishop, right? And then that's going to free up the h-file. And we'll see what we can do. So I'm creating possibilities, that's all. And now this king is really, this is panic room stuff, isn't it, really? King literally cannot move. It's jammed in the corner. It's constrained by his own pieces. A knight there would be checkmate. If I could somehow do that. But again, with these locked-in pawns, when you've got staggered pawns like that, knights can't get through very easily at all. Here, how on earth could I get a knight onto that square? Have to come from there. But then you see around there all the squares are dark and they're all covered by these guys, you see, so I can safely abandon that plan. I can clearly now choose the wine in front of you. Where was I? Australia. Yes, Australia. You must have guessed I knew the powder's origin. You would have counted on it, so clearly I cannot choose the wine in front of me. any time, he says it's a move. He's just played a move. Yeah. Any time there's tension on the board, as in things could take each other, you have to just play it through, yeah? Okay, if I allow him to capture here, I recapture with a knight. Yes, I've got this kind of backwards undefended pawn. Okay, so I could always put a rook on c8. If I take, yeah, it's a free pawn. We still have queen tension, right? And this is where some of the gamesmanship comes in. So it's like I'm saying to my opponent, please take my queen, right? It'll do me a favour. Thank you very much, you know. I don't see any value in taking that pawn. I don't feel like this pawn is likely to be instrumental in the outcome of this game. I could just push c6. And if takes back, I don't know. Of course, takes I can't recapture with the knight because the knight is the only defender of the queen. Or I could change things up completely and bring my queen back and threaten stuff. Here, knight takes, pawn takes. That means my queen is the only defender of the pawn here. And I just feel like I've improved his position. I've actually helped protect his king. I don't want to protect his king. What I want to do is bust things open. And the fellow for that job goes by the name of Freddy. Okay? You think about it, right? My pieces really can't get through this pawn structure right now because I've locked off the h-file. I have no light squared bishop. My queen can't get in on the light squares because of this knight. Or this, queen takes check, queen must capture, pawn takes. That looks horrible as well. So idea about dropping the queen right, I've got to move, I've got 4 minutes on the clock, okay. Go on, let's have the pawn. I know I can always drop my queen back to safety here. This pawn is going to be a bone in the throat the whole time. Okay, push, just defend. Now if this knight moves, this bishop might come into life a little bit, we shall see. This knight, what does it have? Could I sacrifice my knight on there? Could I just put my knight here and block off that pawn? That might be a plan. And it defends this guy, look. Quite like that idea. So yeah, in the middle game, improve your pieces, right? In the opening, you should have your rooks connected, your queen should be off the back rack, your knights should be towards the centre of the board. White has done none of these things. And that's why white is in a pickle. And black has options. That's all it's about. Because you never know exactly what move your opponent is going to do. Right? Chess is a game of chaos to some degree. You want to try and control it to some... Okay, I'm just going to go there and defend the pawn. Slap my opponent's clock. Your time's back on. Mother figure. Or did I just blunder my queen? Yeah, I blundered my queen, didn't I? Blundered my bleeding queen. Right then. Synergy, you're back in. It's an unrated game, fortunately. I said that, didn't I say that? The knight is the only defender of my queen, so I can't move it. And then I thought, oh, look at this guy, I like that square. And I forgot item number 1. Not as bad as what I just did. Okay, there you go. Right. So this is called challenge mode. And now we have a situation where we've both got dark squared bishops, all right. But he's still got to try and win somehow. Okay, I'm going to move my rook here. He says, I bet you still win. No, mate, no, you need to win from here. Right? Always be ready for your opponent to blunder. Your opponent may be a dumbass. You can bank on it, actually. Right, I'm down 8 points in material now, queen for a pawn. So what I do not want to do is altogether now trade material. I want to keep all the material on the board as possible. I want to take advantage of my space advantage. You see, look at all this, all these light squares that I cover. My knight covers these, boom, boom, boom. Right, all these squares in my opponent's half of the board, I have control over. And if you look at it now, look from White's point of view, what can he put where? Look at, you can feel the crush of lack of space now, right? Pawns on light squares means that his bishop has the freedom of the city, right? But can't touch anything. Now he says eek. Why eek? Right, you're attacking my knight. I'm not going to put it there because I'm not trading off. Nuh-uh. My knight wants to come back to this square, so I'm going to put him here, and then here, probably, like that. Oh. Well, that doesn't really bother me too much. I'm going to put my knight back there. I'm going to do this. I'm going to double up my rooks on here. I'm going to carry on going after that corner. Got 4 minutes to go. Now, the removal of that pawn, I think, helps me more than it helps White. Yes, it means his king is now mobile, but honestly, that king, doesn't want to be going on his holidays at this point in time. Okay, king move, bishop move, or bishop round here, maybe get it onto a more useful diagonal. But that's only 2 moves. 1, 2. Attacking the knight. 3 minutes 30. Now this is a test of nerve. You're up a whole queen. You're up a queen. What do you have to do? Well, I'll tell you what you should be doing as White, okay? Here's the board from White's perspective, okay? Let's read the board. You've got a massive space disadvantage. You've got a massive material advantage, okay? So what you need to do, and the material is a queen, right? So what you need to do is swap off all the pawns you can as quickly as you can, okay? Pawn breaks, b3, get rid of these guys, right? And then this queen can come in here and make a mess, okay? You're not going to win the game kind of in a front-on battle because my position is quite solid here. What's the knight moving for? Okay, I mean, it's potentially, yeah, it could get threatened shortly, but... Okay, this knight defends that. Right. Keep the pressure on. Now what you should be doing is b3, right? This pawn advances, swap it off. Trade off. Trade material if you can. If you can't, trade pawns. You want to open up the board. You want to get rid of this logjam in the middle of the board right now, yeah? With 2 minutes 30, this game is 100% winnable. 100% winnable, right? But not while it's all blocked off. Block, 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 block. This knight is blocking that pawn, right? So we have this massive centrale in the middle of the board, okay? This bishop's doing nothing, nothing at all. It's gazing wistfully at a pawn, right? That pawn's going nowhere. I could always move the pawn there if I just want to chuck in a 0.1 second move. You're under 2 minutes, synergy. Wake up. This is boot camp. We're not messing around. Camel. Where does this bishop want to live? So he's got all his pawns on dark squares, which makes life hard for both of the... Okay, it's a thought. Right, snap move. And try and beat him on the clock. You push that pawn. I'm okay, I don't mind. My knight can always pivot round. Got 2 attackers on there, 2 defenders. Probably want to put my rook here. Ties this guy down. Queen may defend there. We'll see. But 1 minute 20. Right, this is where you have to go, okay, practicalities. Okay, so he made a move, that's fine. But it's kind of an important knight, that knight, because it was defending that pawn. Now what my plan is straightforward. I'm going to double up my rooks. I'm going to come off to the h-pawn, which you're then going to have to push. So, okay. Now he has to move quicker. Oh, right. Okay. Still defended twice. Maybe here, just with ideas of something happening. Can I put another attacker on there? Oh, I've got two attackers. No, two attackers, two defenders, eh? I've got rook h4. But again, it's not really in my interest to remove anything, right? When you've got a space disadvantage, it's in your interests to trade off, right? Because it gives you squares. It gives you more squares than it gives your opponent. Your opponent's rich in squares and scope. Okay, I'm going here. Down to 105. Now it's gamesmanship. All the way. Right, can this knight here do anything evil? He should be throwing his pawns at me. Just throwing them. Take anything that's capturable. What's that move for? Okay, that hangs a pawn. Right, now if this bishop moves, I have a lovely fork on king and queen. Can I encourage that bishop to move? Is there anything down this h-file now for my rooks? Or should I reassign them? What he could do now as well is hit this knight, which is the only defender of this. Well done, that was a decent move. Okay, but what? And this knight is also pinned. So now I have to go here. He takes, I recapture. Now he's getting the idea. That's it. Got to come at your opponent. I wonder whether one of Synergy's issues is a kind of a fear of attacking. Good. 55 seconds. You can do this. Finish me off. But it requires a front foot approach. Okay. I'm coming here, I'm going to come here, where it's defended by the knight. I'd have liked to have kicked the queen straight away, but I couldn't because queen takes. Yeah. But here prepares this. That's a slightly unusual move. Okay. I'm going to come here, get my king off the dark squares, put my bishop here with discovery ideas. King's just moved. That's interesting. Now look at his rooks. His rooks are awful. See, this doesn't end until my opponent decides to... I can take with the knight, can't I? Yeah, until my opponent decides to come at me. It's just, it's there. It's there for the taking. I think I might stick my bishop here, maybe rook here. I'll have that. He's got this, but doesn't really achieve much. Oh, that does. Now I have this. Okay. Right, so I have to go here. Rook really wants to go there. King goes there. This is where the increment really matters, you see. That wasn't a good move, right? Even with 1 minute 36, you've got 10 seconds per move. Now I get this pawn with check. Right, what you needed to do is to go there. And that would have put the problem back in my court. Okay, knight back here, defend the bishop and the pawn. It's hanging, but okay, that's attacked and defended once. Okay, if knight takes, I actually have this. So I want knight to take. I'm just going to pretend to attack this pawn. Okay, this is not bad. I mean, it's not good. I'm losing. I'm dead lost. Yeah, I think I have to take the rook, really, don't I? Oh, that's a thought. Come on. Killer instinct, my friend. Okay, that's a check. Alright, now we're talking. Plus 11. Okay, free pawn. Good. Capturing a piece with a discovery. Like it. And he's on 2 minutes 23. So before that queen blunder, he was in a really, really bad position. Right. I'm not going to resign. I'm going to make him finish. Okay. I want to get my rook kind of here, maybe. Now all he has to do is bring his knights in towards my king, and it's all over. Okay, cool. Attack this. Make sure I'm on a light square so the bishop can't move with check and I lose my rook. Bishop's now pinned itself. Okay, here. That's a check, yeah. Queen here is mate, yeah. Now my only hope is stalemate. But I know synergy can mate me with 2 queens, a knight and a bishop. Come on. Good. Queen check. Excellent. There we go. Well done. Well done. Right, now all I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the start of the game. We're going to flip the board and we're going to look at the game from white's perspective. Okay, so we start already quiet, controlling these squares which are in white's side of the board. Why not d4 and control squares on your opponent's side? Okay, I grab center. He plays a knight out. Okay, so I decide on this approach. I'm already thinking, how do I complete development? How do I get all of my pieces out? So one way is to fianchetto a bishop. You have to move a pawn to develop each bishop. And now c3. Again, quiet. Develop. d4. Right, so this is move 4 now from white, and he's developed 1 piece. Okay. Move 4 from black, I've developed 2 already. Okay. Knight here blocks in this bishop. Poor decision. So I think from here, better move bishop out here or bishop out here. It's exactly what I said that I was going to do, right? And then move the knight. Because look, we have a kind of a London system, you know, thing going on here, and you bring out your bishop first. Yeah. So that's already inaccurate, I think. Castles, queen development, kind of, but looking at this mini light squared pyramid, I'm not sure I approve of this move. I would be thinking about how to develop this. Okay, even if it's just one, get the bishop out, right? Then the queen behind it, maybe. The queen there is doing nothing to get the king safe. And look how long it takes to get the king safe, right? Bishop attacks queen with tempo. Queen has to move again, right? White is now playing with the black pieces. Okay, and then this is like a prophylactic move. Well, just defending this pawn, you know. Make sure it's defended. There's no point giving stuff away. And now he's thinking about developing the light square bishop. That's good. But I've almost completed development now, right? I'm already thinking about breaking in the middle of the board. Develops knight, castles. Okay, now we're starting to catch up. But now, because I've practically completed development, you know, all I've got to do is get my queen off the back rank, right? Because I have the initiative, I'm breaking in the middle. And my opponent, I think, again, plays a little passively. I think here, probably trading stuff off in the middle was better. This allows the pawn to push forward, right into white's territory. Again with tempo, right? Attacks the bishop, but puts the knight on the rim, forces the knight onto the rim. And now you've got to like black's position, right? With this space, with these very strong pawns that are just that square further ahead than white's, getting me that space benefit. And this king is starting to look like, well, why is the queen gone that way? You know, I'm not sure. And also this knight's out of squares, so it's not great. Yes. But to be honest, the activity isn't going to happen on the D&E files right now. The activity, if anywhere, is going to happen on the F files. So maybe I'd be thinking about keeping my rook there, maybe playing F4 at some point. Try and open things up. Yeah, so I'm not sure about that move. Again, just kind of pushing wood a little bit and almost allowing your opponent to come and punch you. It's just, you know, throwing up little blocks, dancing around the ring. Now I'm thinking of improving my knights. He moves his bishop back to where it came from. I mean, I don't know, what was the idea of this? But that's just a prod, that's nothing at all, you know? That's not a winning attack with a single piece. It doesn't happen like that. And now the knight comes back. And maybe that was the point of moving the bishop there. Maybe he's thinking, what am I going to do with my knight? I don't know. A lot of these minor pieces just moving backwards and forwards, aren't they? You know? I trade off, attack, king defends, queen in your face, right? Knight moves again. Now I'm thinking that moving my pawn to here was probably not the best idea. I should have probably just maintained tension if I could. Yeah, that wasn't great. I think that was a mistake. I think I probably should have captured here. Yeah. But we forced the king into the corner, and now I'm looking at this idea there. Maybe. Yeah. And this was a decent move, you know, he saw the mating threat, he decided, but then he didn't trade off. I thought maybe he should have traded off here. And now, I mean, he's made life difficult for himself by creating this dark squared pyramid with the bishop still in it. And now he develops his bishop, but to nowhere at all, okay? And then it's all kind of, it's all black here, right up until this move, and I simply drop my queen. But still, it takes him from move 28 to move 79, another 50 moves to finish me off. Now, what would I do from this point in time? I'm up a queen, right? So black does this. Queen back here, obviously. Okay, black does this, right? This is where we do not worry. We simply do not worry. I would play this, right? Takes, takes, and suddenly, look, this queen is marauding. Okay? What does black do from this point? I don't know. You know? So kind of this. Grab the pawn. You know? Knight takes, boom. And within 10 moves, you can be in a completely winning position. Okay? Say brings rook here onto the semi-open file. How about just queen here? Right, that's defended once, but now attacked twice, and we're pinning this pawn. Okay, rook comes to there, for example. We just think about improving knights. This bishop's in a horrible position. Pushes forward. All of this. Let's say this. Now we attack. Captures en passant. Bang. Trades. Fine. You know. You just want to get into this situation where you've converted this material advantage and boiled it down to, you know, just an overwhelming difference on the board. Just want to stop stuff off. But anyway, interesting game. I hope that was very useful for Synergy516. Hope it's been useful for you as well. Hope you've picked up one or two things. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.